In all honesty, man, this is not something that's, I don't know. I feel like every once in a while I write a note just because it's something that relates to me directly. And everything that relates to me contributes to what I'm trying to do. So it's funny, it's like I'm an anime guy. I repeat that over and over again. Back in 2006, I started watching anime. Before, I think about it. I think about it. I think about basically, I don't know, it's funny to see how the past 4 years has literally been everyone talking about anime. And back in the day when I was like raving about like One Piece, Bleach, when I was raving about Ergo Proxy and Elfen Light, about Gantz, about Samurai Champloo, about it was like all Rurouni Kenshin and about History's Strongest Disciple Kenichi, about like the mangas that I was reading, and everyone just was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" But no lie, I want you all to understand that I literally built my entire fucking characters, thought process, mentality on the philosophies I learned from all these mangas. The one thing I always used to explain to people, like, there's a big difference between cartoon and manga. As a short story, so the one thing I need to point to everyone, for everyone to understand, is the sheer amount of research that goes into manga and anime. Naturally, back in the day, for something to actually make it online, I had to have a whole lot of work and a whole lot of like storyline, lore, philosophies, like decent characters, all sorts of like interesting kind of like archetypes that we could relate to, stories, villain stories, themes. Most of the animes right now these days are just basically like they literally tell you if you want to feel good, watch this. If you want to do this, like, they're literally catered to the emotional mess that we've become as man being gender neutral. The basically we made everything scientific, and we are that's basically what the industry does. But every once in a while, an actual anime that speaks truth was actually a point of creation comes about. Though one of the anime that make me feel good, now literally like when I was googling for anime to watch, I was googling anime to watch, overpowered villain, has actual team, constructs I don't know what, and I was like looking to see the theme of an actual isekai story. An isekai story is like reborn in another world. And I wanted like something to do with like changing the world vibe, right? Whatever. I wanted something more like epic. One Piece, but like more of a directed, like small. By the way, I have like 3 tattoos of One Piece, and I've had one since like 2014. Anyway, uh, so in the anime, there's something beautiful about this anime specifically. And the beauty behind it is the fact that he's a good guy that doesn't give a shit. That's the hero, right? And he's genuinely a good guy, but he's not a good guy for the sake of good. He's a good guy because he doesn't like the bad. Like he wouldn't have cared to be a good guy. He just doesn't like bad people. Just doesn't their logic, based on their logic. And that's something very beautiful because like based on the logic of bad people, because we're stronger, we get to take from the weak. So he applies the same logic on them. He goes like, so if you're stronger, then you take from the weak, which literally means I actually am stronger than you, then I can take from you. And he basically goes and he destroys cults and destroys like evil organizations and all kinds of shit just for the sake of proving that, I mean, like living the lifestyle. right? Like he doesn't consider himself like good or bad. He just considers himself like operating in the shadows and shit like this. Though one thing about basically his approach is he always makes sure he takes care of people, right? Like that's basically his inner hero wanting to be there, but like him not actually believing in the hero and not actually like, I mean, like technically the hero. It's funny because like heroes always never want anything to change and are making sure they keep everything the same, but villains are always the ones keeping everything, wanting everything to change. And ultimately, there's a conflict of interest in each of their like existences. Like I don't really care for heroes. I don't really care for villains, but I don't really care for heroes because like it's what's the fucking point, right? I mean, like Disney kind of like shows us enough of how heroes always kind of go like, and then what, and then what, and then what, and then what. What are you protecting, right? Like, what are you protecting? What lifestyle are you protecting? People kind of like live in oblivion and kind of like, yeah, I'm living day by day, and then oh my god, I'm going to die, and a hero comes and he saves us. Like, man, maybe it's better to just die. All right, whatever, dude. But anyways, it's fine. The concept that I wanted to point at and to actually stress, especially from this anime, and he's not really anti-hero, but just like anti-anything. It's like what I want is the whole systematic approach that he gradually builds towards structuring himself and his organization in society by actually not really doing anything towards society, but allowing it to grow on its own and sustain itself on its own and build according to its own needs. Now, I like this because my theory and philosophy towards like me or anything operating in more than one individual person is a more one piece style philosophy. Like all of us have different goals in this life, and ultimately, if my goals align with you, then we share the ship. And it just happened to be my ship, or it just happened to be your ship. And I want that goal, so I'll go on your ship because I like you as a captain. And basically, that kind of like philosophy. And I like it. I think it makes sense. Although I want to name the rankings in my company based on the bounty hunting crew in One Piece. But like that's just like a personal preference. It's just the naming conventions that I like. But so, anyways, this is actually Meet Hamoudi, by the way. So you've met, I think, two of my cats. This is like the third. He's not mine. He's a friend's. But like, he's the person who lived here before. But so the third thing that we're getting to is the loyalty of his subordinates, and the loyalty of his subordinates is amazing for me specifically because ultimately he always engages with them in a way that actually makes them very that allows them to be themselves. Like he really couldn't care less about anything in the organizational structure. He couldn't care less. He's just literally doing what he wants. And for them, they feel like whatever he wants and whatever he's kind of like trying to achieve, it's something that always involves, well, they want to be involved because they care for him, but they also understand that, like, whatever their involvement could be could not relate to him. And in a way, they operate in a very loyal fashion towards his desires and goals without him having to ask for anything. And any single time he wants to do something, he always does it on his own without them. And they kind of always, like, they either notice it and sometimes they get into conflict with it. But it doesn't matter because, like, he never does anything to actually, like, interfere with their work. And when he's doing something, he either adjusts to them or they adjust to him. Blah, 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 blah. It's become like kind of a battle between him, his leadership, and the fact that he doesn't want to lead and their actual sovereignty over their own like selves. They chose to be loyal to him, when he never demanded loyalty from them. He just wanted to kind of like take care of them and like be like show them, I don't know, like just like protect them, be there for them, support them, and all that stuff. And they kind of like see that and are showing him loyalty and are trying to like, so both of them are competing to make each other feel better, be better, do better, and all that stuff. Both of them are competing to that to that end goal. And it's funny because like each one is doing it without caring what the other person is doing, and then trying to synchronize anytime they find without knowing what the other is doing. And then when they find out, they try to synchronize in order to get the best out of the results. But ultimately, like because the leadership is working for the team and the team is working for the leader, this sense of loyalty is what's creating a certain rivalry between them under the same organizational name, under the same message, under the same voice, under the same goal. And that for me kind of like is profound and kind of itchy, right? Like I would want that if I actually have a team working with me. I would want each one of us to literally just at the core be fully designated for what we want to do under the bigger name, which is us. And each one of us would be going and like planning what we want to do and thinking what the other might be doing, and then seeing if we do actually will push for their work as well. If not, then maybe I can do it differently. And basically, this kind of like interactive approach to growth building is something that I actually liked, and I wanted to share it with you guys. And now that I've set it up in the open, I have a couple of ideas that are popping in my head. But again, I don't have a team. I'm still on my own, so I can't I can't wait for the time when things start actually becoming cute. Peace.